I've made a video game. Here it is. It's called Glotation, for obvious reasons, and it was made over the course of a week for a game jam. In this video we're going to go over some of the design choices I made in the game's creation. So, let's talk game design. Glotation was made for the Vimjam, a game jam hosted by popular game developer and YouTuber Vimlark.
Hey there, how's it going?
He seems like a nice guy, he makes good content, and when he announced he was hosting a game jam I thought, yeah, go on then. Very quickly, for those of you that don't know, a game jam is a timed event where you make a game from scratch within certain parameters, usually around a theme. For this particular jam, entries had to directly involve collectibles and somehow incorporate the theme of there and back. I'm now going to show you the perfect game for this theme, which actually already exists and sadly isn't the one that I made. This is Sega's Nights into Dreams, an old game from the Sega Saturn where you play as this purple jester thing and fly in circles collecting blue balls. It's literally this game jam in every aspect. You fly around the same level section over and over doing nothing but collecting things, which covers both requirements for the Vimjam focus and theme. So let's steal it. Nights has a bright, cartoony aesthetic and a complex movement and scoring system that provides increasing rankings depending on your performance. These go together to form a pivotal and deeply satisfying part of the gameplay experience. But we're not going to do that. I only have a week. What we are going to steal though is the core gameplay, sort of. Each level is a single screen 2D platformer, because platformers never go out of style, and will be open-ended enough that you'll be able to loop around the entire thing, just like in Nights. Along the way you'll have to collect these glowy things, because you're dying. Every second you spend not picking stuff up, your health is ticking down, and when it reaches 0, you'll explode into confetti, just like in real life. What I wanted to achieve with this game is something teachable moment, simple and satisfying, like popping bubble wrap. When we're talking about game design, you might come across the phrase game flow, which is a combination of design choices and how their implementation corresponds to each other to put the player into what we refer to as a flow state, where the player is so engrossed and in tune with the systems they're using that it just flows right out of them. The most well-known example of this phenomenon is probably Tetris, where people get so engrossed in the game that they suffer what's known as the Tetris effect, seeing Tetris blocks when they close their eyes or just going about their daily life. It's so well known that it's the title of the most recent version of Tetris that you can purchase for sale and play now. So how does Glotation attempt to induce this desirable state? Let me explain. This is our basic movement, 2D platforming running to the left and right. You'll notice, because you're a smart and insightful person, that when you stop to turn to another direction, you'll carry on a little bit further in the direction you were moving before you turn. This creates a sense of momentum. Now you might think that what you'd really want from a platform game is precise, pixel perfect and immediately responsive movement, so that you're in absolute control of your character down to the millisecond. But you'd be wrong. And you, specifically, the viewer that I'm talking to right now, wouldn't think that, because as we've already covered, you are smart and insightful. Please like this video. If you look at the best and most iconic 2D platformers throughout history, like Mario, Sonic, Bubsy the Bobcat, okay, not that one, you'll notice they all have a pushback on their movement that adds to the illusion of physics. This is satisfying. It's also consistent, which means the player can learn it, get accustomed to it, and master it. And that adds to the game's flow. Now let's look at some mechanics. You can jump, and well, that's it, you can jump, which is simple. Your jump height, just like your movement physics, is consistent. Consistent physics are brilliant, but if you don't have a playground to explore these physics, it's an absolute waste of effort. So, all of the levels are designed for you to loop around. Some of them have clear paths to follow, like the purple one, and some of them are open-ended enough that the player is encouraged to try and optimize the path themselves. Incidentally, if there's one glaring flaw in this game, it's that the levels aren't as refined as I'd like them to be. And there is a simple explanation for that. It's because I'm an idiot. For reasons that I still don't understand, I thought the jam ended on Saturday. It did not. It ended on Friday, 7 days after it had started on Friday, and it was a 7-day game jam. What this means is it got to Friday afternoon and I had exactly one level finished and about 2 hours to make literally the rest of the game, because as we might have mentioned, I'm an idiot. Time for a teachable moment. Don't try and make 90% of your game with 2% of the time remaining. That's an oddly specific one, but trust me, it's important. Anyway, the levels, such as they are, give you space to float and spin around, and the scope to learn the nuance of the physics, which is both simple and satisfying. But a good game flow needs something else, because there's no point having great physics and a suitable playground if you're not given a reason to improve and master it. Going back to Knights, your reason for improvement is a simple letter ranking. Standard, encouraging, positive reinforcement. It puts the onus for improvement on the player. You're only going to improve if you want to and if you care about that ranking that you get at the end. You'll also see this in games like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, where you could theoretically cheese your way through the entire game with 1 or 2 moves, but if you do, your ranking is going to be super low. Which for some people is absolutely fine. There are people out there who aren't bothered about their score, or their ranking, or even their performance. They only care that they beat the game, even if they didn't really meet the game halfway in what it was trying to accomplish. But that's a topic for another video. I went a different route to accomplish the same thing, and used negative reinforcement instead. You're always dying, and if you don't move quickly enough around the levels, you'll die even quicker. You need to improve to survive. It's no longer left up to whether the player wants to get better. They don't have a choice if they want to progress their score. Which again, some people just aren't going to care about because of who they are as a person. What all of this means is that we can create a rough template of what makes a good game flow, that I have dubbed the very catchy 3 Ps of good game flow: physics, potential, and purpose. We've covered physics, it's in the way that you move and interact with the world, and we've covered how to make that satisfying. Potential is the freedom and room for the player to experiment with those physics to get better and more skilled in their operation. And purpose is why they'd want to, a reason to improve and engage with what you've made and given them. I think if you have all 3 of these, you're on your way to having a good game flow, something that is both simple and satisfying. So what can I improve? We've already covered how I'm not too pleased with some of the levels because I'm an idiot who doesn't know when Friday is, but I'd also like to put in more player bias. The formula that works out the speed at which your life dwindles away could do with some tweaking, and there's absolutely no tutorial whatsoever because I had to throw together a title screen with about 15 minutes left. Going forward, I do actually have a plan for Glotation, something long-term and experimental that I can't talk about right now, because if I do, it becomes real, and then I actually have to do it. And the worst possible thing you can do to an indie solo game developer is try and hold them accountable. How horrifying. But for now, I'm quite pleased with it. It's fun, and if you're the score-chasing type, it's engaging. There's room for depth and optimization, and I even managed to nail a visual aesthetic that I don't hate, which is actually a first for me. I don't know how well it'll do in the judging, but I've never put much stock into Gamejam judging processes anyway. I think it's more important that I made something, learned some lessons, and grew as a developer. And now I know when Friday is. If you'd like to try the game, the itch.io link is in the description, and I'd really like to see your high scores in the comments section of this video. Otherwise, if you've enjoyed the video, then please consider liking it, and if you didn't, then you might as well dislike it instead. I make videos like this on a semi-regular basis, so please subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I'll see you the next time I'm thinking, hey, let's talk game design.